Two gods down, two to go. Today we are ranking Nurgle units. Hit that like button, don't forget to subscribe, and let's find out which disgusting unit comes out on top. At number 15 we have the Feculent Gnarlmaw. So let's get into the data sheet. Obviously it's no movement, toughness 9, has a 4-up save, 9 wounds, no OC, as it is a fortification. Pretty pants really. Fortifications are a bit poo at the moment anyway. I think if you're going to take a fortification, you'll go for the Skull Altar over the Feculent Gnarlmaw. Let's have a look at its abilities. So it has the Shroud of Flies, while a friendly Nurgle unit is within 6 inches of this fortification. Models in that unit have the Stealth ability. I mean, that's quite nice. -1 to hit, lovely. Disease cover. Each time a ranged attack is allocated to a model, if that model is not fully visible to every model in the attacking unit, this fortification, the model has the benefit of cover against that attack. Means nothing to demons. I find that really, really weird. And then fortification itself is the obviously the pistols and the escape tests stuff. Very, very poor. I mean, it is 100 points and it does have the infiltrator keyword, but I just think it's a waste of points. It's not a very good option, and I don't see why many people would pick it, and I'm not seeing many people picking it in their lists. So this is at number 15. At number 14, it's Sloppity Bilepiper. Cool looking model, 55 points. Yeah, let's get into it again. Movement 5, toughness 5, 7-up save, but a 5-up invuln, 5 wounds and 1 OC. This is a leader and you're going to put him with your Plaguebearers. Onto his abilities, he has Jolly Gut Pipes. While this model is leading a unit, add 1 to the move characteristics of models in that unit, and you can reroll advance rolls made for the unit. The reroll advance is nice, the +1 to move is a bit meh. And then the Disease of Mirth, which is an aura. At the start of the fight phase, every enemy unit within 6 inches of this model must take a battle shock test. Now, you look at that at first glance, and that sounds very, very nice, but I think that should be while this model is leading a unit at the start of the fight phase. Within 6 inches of this unit must take a battle shock test. I think that'd be much better, much more viable, but they're pretty poo. They're just below par abilities in my opinion. This is why Sloppity's not getting picked. Like his stat line is not great, his abilities are not great. I don't see why you would pick him for the Plaguebearers when you have slightly better options. That's why he's number 14. At number 13 we have the Poxbringer. Again, 55 points. He's movement 5, toughness 5, 7-up save or a 5-up invuln, 5 wounds, leadership 7 and 1 OC. He does have the Feel No Pain, 5-up Feel No Pain, which is kind of cool. Nothing too special, but it's kind of cool. His abilities, Poxbringer. While this model is leading a unit, each time a model in that unit makes an attack, a successful and modified hit roll of a 5 scores a critical hit. Obviously, the Plaguebearers that this guy goes with have lethal hits on their weapons. Again, pretty meh. Pretty okay. It's like I said, it sounds good on paper, but Plaguebearers don't hit hard at all. That's just is what it is. And his next ability is Feculent Despair, which is an aura and psychic, air quotes. While an enemy unit is within 6 inches of this model, each time that unit takes a battle shock test, subtract 1 from that test. Okay, again, not too bad, not too shabby. Not great, it's better than Sloppity, but I just feel this one again falls below par. You could take it for fluff, definitely, but it's not something that I'd be looking to take, if I'm being brutally honest. I mean, 55 points is cool, but there isn't a ways and a means you can use these 55 point models, which I mentioned in a previous video, I think, where you use these to, you throw them away, cheap units to just throw away for deploy teleport homer and behind enemy lines for a very, very cheap cost. But the trade-off is it's a character, so you're giving away possibly assassination. Yeah, that's why he's down here. I just don't see why you'd be picking him over other stuff. So that's why he is where he is. At number 12, some of you are going to kill me for this maybe, but it's the Daemon Prince of Chaos Winged.
Now, again, let's go through the date sheet. So it's movement 12, toughness 10 because he's Nurgle, 2 up save or a 4 up invern, 10 wounds, leadership 6 and 3 OC, which is quite nice. He does have an infernal cannon weapon, which is 24 inches, 3 attacks hitting on 2s, strength 5, minus 1 AP, 2 damage. That's okay, but it's only 3 shots. His melee weapon's quite good. 6 attacks hitting on 2s, strength 8, minus 2 AP, 3 damage. And then he has his sweep, which is 14 attacks hitting on 2s, strength 6, no AP, 1 damage. So kind of okay on his weapons there. And we're going to go through to his ability. So his first ability is Malefic Destruction. Once per battle at the start of the fight phase, this model can use this ability. If it does until the end of the phase, add 3 to the attacks characteristics of this model's Hellforged weapons. So that's kind of cool, increasing the attacks on the weapons. His second one is Harbinger of Death. Sounds so cool, that, doesn't it? Each time this model is selected to fight, select one of the following abilities. Until the end of the phase, this model's held for weapons have that ability, so V can give it lethal hits, precision, or sustained hits 1. Now, I do like the Daemon Prince Winged. It's one of my favourite units in the index. But the reason it's so low for the Nurgle is, why would you pick it? You can give it the Aimless Gift, but then you're taking that away from a big guy. I just don't see why the winged one would get picked only for speed when Nurgle are slow anyway, and then you'd only have one that's pretty quick, but the drones. I wouldn't pick it. I'd pick the other Daemon Prince over this one. This is why it's so low, because it's just not going to get picked as a Nurgle Winged Daemon Prince. I mean, you could do the Khorne Winged Daemon Prince, and it hits like a freight train because of the enhancement, you know. So that's why he's 12. He's just not going to get picked. That's why he is where he is. At number 11, it's the Plague Drones. So they're movement 10, toughness 8. They have a 6 up save or a 5 up invern. I wish it was a 4, but hey ho. 5 wounds apiece, 7 up leadership and 2 OC. 120 points for 3 of them, or 220 for 6. I do really like these guys. I really, really do. I just think they're so tough and a lot of wounds to chew through. But they're not great damage dealers or anything like that. Speaking of that, let's get into the weapons. So they have ranged weapons. So they have Death Heads at 12 inches with blast and lethal hits on this. So the D3 attacks, hitting on 4s, strength 4, no AP, 1 damage. Useless. Absolutely useless weapon. But it's going to time with the abilities, which we'll just talk about in a second. And then we have their melee weapons. So they've all equipped with plague swords, 2 attacks each, hitting on 3s, strength 4, minus 1, 1 damage, again lethal hits on them. And then the foul mouth parts, which is extra attacks, again these have lethal hits. So they're again hitting on 2 attacks apiece, hitting on 4s, strength 5, minus 1, 2 damage. Yeah, when I've ever used these guys, they've normally just tied something up and just tied them up all game or whatever, and then eventually dwindled away from the sheer amount of shots and attacks going into them from melee. But they're so good at tying things up. That's why I like them, because they're really tough and resilient. So we'll look at their ability, which is Death Heads. So in your shooting phase, after this unit has shot, select one enemy unit hit by one or more of those attacks until the end of the turn. Each time a friendly Nurgle unit makes an attack that targets that unit, you can re-roll the wound roll. That's cool. I really, really like that. Re-rolling wounds on a certain enemy. Obviously, you have to be within 12. It's probably the only downside. But it is a pretty cool ability, and it's going to tie in with other things such as your Plaguebearers re-rolling wounds. Re-rolling wounds on your big fatties, Rotigus and Unclean One. Even the Daemon Princes, re-rolling wounds. It's such a nice ability, and I do really, really rate these. Obviously, somebody's got to be 11th and 12th and 13th, 14th, 15th. Someone's got to be somewhere. But I do like these, and I do use these not often, but I do have space for these in my lists. So that's the Plague Drones. At number 10, it is the Soul Grinder. Yeah, probably going to split a few of you on this one, because I do like the Soul Grinder. But so he's movement 8, toughness 11, a 3 up save or a 4 up invern, 14 wounds, leadership 7 and 5 OC. Now I do again, I do like the Soul Grinder. Again, very tough. I have a Marmite relationship with this unit. Is either really good or really poor. He's never in the middle. He's never just as okay. He's either solid or he's not. That's just the meta I'm in the area I'm playing. Yeah, so let's go through to his ranged weapon, which is obviously on all of them. He has the Harvester Cannon, 36 inches, 3 attacks, hitting on 3, strength 10, minus 1 AP, 3 damage. It's kind of okay. And then the Nurgle weapon you get is Phlegm Bombardment. So it's blast, indirect fire, and has lethal hits. So it's kind of cool. So again, that's 36 inches, D6 plus 1, hitting on 3s, 4 if you're going indirect fire. Strength 7, minus 1 AP, 2 damage. That's kind of okay. Obviously, if you're going indirect, they're going to get the benefit of cover. So that minus 1 goes to 0. So then you're hitting on stuff. They'll have a free up save. You may get a model or 2 through if you're lucky. It can do damage. You can fluke it. It's very, very swingy, especially if you're going indirect as well. It can be very, very swingy. Yeah, a bit of a weird one with them. I just feel the other weapons are better on the Zinch and the Slaanesh weapons. I just think they're a touch better than what the Phlegm Bombardment is. I do like the fluff with it, like spitting like phlegm like over ruins, hitting a small squad at the back or whatever that you need to get rid of. So let's get into his melee weapons. So he has the Iron Claw. This is standard, so he'll always have this. You cannot unequip this. So it's 5 attacks, hitting on 3s, strength 16, minus 3 AP, D6 plus 2 damage. Beautiful stat line that is. I do think that's really, really nice. And again, ties in with the Plague Drones and re-rolling wounds as well to help get these off. You want the most attacks going through as you can. And then you get a choice of having the Warp Claw or the Warp Sword. The Warp Claw is 6 extra attacks, hitting on 3s, strength 8, minus 1 AP, 2 damage. And then you have the Warp Sword, which is 3 extra attacks, hitting on 3s, strength 8, minus 2 D6 damage. For me, I always pick the Warp Claw because I just think volume of attacks is better rather than trying to fish for the D6. That's just my own preference, if I'm being brutally honest. Let me go to his abilities. He has the Scuttling Walker. Each time this model makes a normal or advanced move, it can move over friendly monster and vehicle models and terrain features that are 4 inches or less in height as if they were not there. So that's kind of cool. So you can use him to go over your Rotigus or your Great Unclean One and other Soul Grinders, which is that's actually kind of cool. So it can get over them, not being hindered. So that's kind of awesome. I think if you were ranking the Soul Grinders, you'd put the Nurgle Soul Grinder last, maybe then Khorne because of the Renmaster buffs as third, and then it would be a toss-up between Zinch or Slaanesh for first and second. That's why he's so low on this list. Like, I really do like the Soul Grinder, like I said earlier, but I just think you wouldn't really pick a Nurgle one. You would for the fluff, again, for the synergy. If you go mono Nurgle, of course you would, but I just think he's not getting picked as a Nurgle unit. He's getting picked as one of the others. That's why he's so low. Number 9, it's Epidemius. Controversial for a few people out there, I know, but that's where he is. He's movement 5, toughness 5, 6 up save or a 5 up invuln, 8 wounds, which is pretty nice, leadership 7, and 2 OC. Melee weapons, he has a Bale Sword, and Nurgling Attendants. So it's D6 plus 3 attacks, lethal hits, hitting on 3s, strength 5, minus 2 AP, 2 damage. It's kind of that's not bad, you know. That's not terrible. And then his abilities, he's obviously a leader and he goes in with the Plaguebearers. So while this model is leading unit, models in that unit have a 4-up invulnerable save. I mean, again, at face value, that's kind of cool. But then when considering the benefits of cover and anything on your Plaguebearers, don't really get the benefit of cover. Realistically, they don't because they have a 7-up save. They're forced on their 5-up invuln, then to a 4-up invuln. I find that they're just going to get shot anyway. It just makes them that slightly more resilient. I just think a 4-up and a 5-up invuln, there's not too much difference in it. really. Not really too much difference in it. 110 point unit, then you add this guy who's, what, 80 points. So they got a 190 point unit. Just, I don't know. I'm not sold on it. I get the resiliency there, but you can only have one because he's an epic hero. So, it's not for me, if I'm being honest. It's just not for me. And then its other ability is Tally of Pestilence. Keep a tally of how many enemy models are destroyed by Nurgle models from your army during the battle. At the start of your command phase, if this tally is 7 or more, you gain a CP. Cool. I mean, that's just a little boon. Now special, nothing to rant and rave about, if I'm being honest. It's an okay ability. The reason you'd take him is for the 4-up invulnerable on the Plaguebearers. Is it needed? Maybe slightly, but 80 points and another character in your army could be a hindrance. I get why people would take him. I prefer other options, but he still is a solid choice. He is still a solid choice. And he is number 9. At number 8, it's Spoilpox Scrivener. I really like this guy. I really, really do. I have a soft spot for him. And you can have 3 of them. So, movement 5, toughness 5, 7-up save or a 5-up invuln, 5 wounds, leadership 6, and 1 OC. Let's get into his weapons. He has a ranged weapon. So, it's the Disgusting Sneezes. It's a 6-inch pistol and it's torrent. So, it's D6 attacks, automatically hearing because of torrent. Strength 3, no AP, 1 damage. The key thing there is the pistol, which means when he's obviously a leader and he goes onto the Plaguebearers, which means if you get Plaguebearers with him in on an objective and you get tied up, because he's eligible to shoot, you can still cleanse. So you can still do stuff. That's why I like him. I do like that. It's a nice little touch, that pistol, so you can still do your actions if needed if you do get tied up. Like deploy teleport Homer, still do it. Tied up, doesn't matter. His melee weapon has a plague sword and a disintended maw. 6 attacks with lethal hits, hitting on freeze. Strength 5, minus 1 AP, 1 damage. Nah, it's fine. It is what it is. Not too special. But it's his ability is why we're taking him. This is why he's a bit higher up for his abilities. Keep counting. While this model is leading a unit, melee weapons equipped by models in that unit have the sustained hits 1 ability. Potato, that's kind of okay. Maybe a few extra hits on your Plaguebearers. Doesn't really matter. Is what it is. It's just an added boon. Plaguebearers don't hit hard enough. And then meet your quota. So that sounds orcish, that, doesn't it? While this model is leading a unit, add 1 to the objective control characteristic of models in that unit. This is why you take the bad boy. This is why you take him. Now your Plaguebearers are OC3 and Spoilpox himself is OC2. So you can use your stratagem to deep strike within 3, hopefully on an objective to steal it, and boom, now you got to get rid of us, because now there's, 32 OC in front of you that you got to whittle away at. Very, very nice, and he's 60 points as well. So I think I got that right, 60 points? He is 60 points. So he's cheap enough as well, and you can have 3 of them. So very, very solid option for the Plaguebearers. In my opinion, the best leader for my playstyle and how I play. I would definitely take him. And then, yeah, there is a case for an Epidemius. So if you are taking 3 units of Plaguebearers, I probably would suggest 2 Spoilpox and 1 Epidemius, if I'm being honest. But this, if you're taking 1, I'd say this guy. 100% this guy. But again, it's all preference and opinions and choice, isn't it? So that's him. That's Spoilpox Scrivener. At number 7, it's Horticulous Slimux, Slugman. I really love this model, and I really like this unit. He's one of my favourite models in the game. Beautiful looking thing. So, his movement 6, toughness 10, a 3-up save or a 4-up invuln, which is nice. 10 wounds, leadership 7, and 2 OC. Very, very tough. Fair few wounds on him as well, isn't there? 10 wounds. Melee weapons. He has the Acidic Maw. So it's 2 attacks, hitting on 4s, strength 7, minus 4 AP, 3 damage. That is extra attacks. This is obviously coming from the slug. And it also has devastating wounds. And then his regular attacks is his Lopping Shears with lethal hits, So he has 4 of these, 4 attacks, hitting on 3s, strength 6, minus 2 A3, 3 damage. So he hits pretty darn hard. He is also a leader, but he goes with the beasts of Nurgle that we all know that are very, very tough and resilient. And he's quite tough himself. 120 points for this guy. I mean, you could run him on his own with that stat line, if I'm being honest. You could kind of do him on his own. Let's go into his abilities. He has Beast Handler. While this model is leading a unit, you can re-roll charge rolls made for that unit. In addition, once per battle, you can target that unit with the Heroic Intervention stratagem for 0 CP, and you can do so even if you have already used that stratagem on a different unit this phase. Again, re-rolling charge rolls is kind of nice to get him into areas that you need to get him into, and the once per battle Heroic Intervention, that's kind of cool and nice and fluffy. I kind of like that. Very situational though. And then his other ability, this is why you pick him. Seed the Garden of Nurgle. At the end of your movement phase, if this model is within an area terrain feature, until the end of the battle, that area terrain feature is considered to be within your army's Shadow of Chaos. Now, I mentioned it in my previous list. This is why you take him. You start him off the board, or even on the board if you want to, and just keep advancing him into places just to get that area terrain feature, Shadow of Chaos, and you aim for 2 main in the middle or 2 out wide close to your enemy's deployment zone, maybe near objective markers, whatever you think is best, and make sure that area terrain feature has the Shadow of Chaos so you can bring whatever you want in. Absolutely beautiful ability. It's insane. It's a great way to get Shadow up permanently, can't be reduced. It's there for the whole game. Brilliant. And that's what you want to be doing. Obviously, don't be silly and doing it stuff that's in your deployment zone. You've got your deployment zone for that. You don't need to be doing that. This is just in case you're not holding enough in no man's land. So if it does swing, you've got stuff around certain areas, shadow around certain areas, so you can counter punch your opponent pretty quickly and hard. Brilliant unit for 120 points. Absolutely solid. It's a shame I can't put him higher, but he's one of my favourite units, Nurgle-wise, in the whole index. Solid, absolutely solid. At number 6, it's the Plaguebearers themselves. Solid little unit, probably one of the best battle line units in the index, if I'm being honest. So they're movement 5, toughness 5, 7 up save or 5 up invuln. They have 2 wounds each, leadership 7 and OC 2. See, toughness 5, 2 wounds, brilliant. 110 points for these guys. That's really, really good. Really, really good. I do like that. Their attacks, they all have a plague sword, lethal hits, 2 attacks each, hitting on 3, strength 4, minus 1 AP, 1 damage. Pretty meh, but that's not what they're there for. They're supposed to be tough, resilient, and difficult for other stuff to kill them and be a nuisance. It's what they're good at. So let's go to their abilities. They have Infected Outbreak. If you control an objective marker at the end of your command phase and this unit is within range of that objective marker, that objective marker remains under your control even if you have no models within range of it, until your opponent controls it at the start or end of any turn. So you make objectives sticky. Brilliant. So, and that happens at the end of the phase as well. So that's very, very good. And that's why you take them. You make them sticky and then you realm them off, bring them back on and do things that way. That's how I play them. Move them around the board as quick as I can, trying to make things sticky. Keep going and moving. They're battle line as well, so if you do get below half, there's a chance you can get some back on a successful leadership test. So, good. They're a good unit. That I prefer them to Pink Horrors. Obviously, in terms of killing power, they don't match up to the Bloodletters, and I prefer them to Demonettes, even though Demonette's quite quick. I do prefer them to Demonettes. I just like them for their resiliency, that I can just plop them on objective and I don't have to worry about them too much. I can come back to them and assist them a bit later if needed. And if they do get wiped, they get wiped. It's a 110 point unit. I've got monsters and other stuff to do things that my opponent is going to be more focused on. So, yeah. Great little unit and cheap enough. And I'm glad that they're getting some love at the moment because they are getting picked more and more in lists you're seeing all over the Facebook pages and the Discords, and it's nice to see and just deserved. They're a solid option. we're now in the top 5. This is where it gets difficult. This has not been easy to do, I'm not going to be honest. It's been very, very hard. But at number 5, we do have the Daemon Prince of Chaos. This is so difficult. It's so difficult. So let's go through. Movement 8, toughness 11, 2 up save or a 4 up invuln, 10 wounds, leadership 6, 3 OC. He has exactly the same weapons and ranged and melee weapons, from the other Daemon Prince as well. But it's his abilities that are key here. So he has the Prince of Darkness ability, which is an aura. While a friendly Legion's demonic unit is within 6 inches of this model, models in that unit have the stealth ability. So he benefits from that. So he's -1 to hit in ranged. And he gives that to other units across the board, which is cool. This is why you take him. And then Unholy Vigor. Once per battle at the start of any phase, this model can use this ability. If it does until the end of the phase, this model has a 3 up invulnerable save. So, I mean, what you could do with him, right, is you give him the Endless Gift and then he'll be 230 points, right? And you could be absolutely pathetic, stupid and dumb, but deep striking within 3 of your opponent's back line. And you trigger Unholy Vigor in the shooting phase. So he has a 3 up invuln. Make sure to try and hide a section behind something so they don't have full visibility, so then you get the benefit of cover. So you could be 2s or 3s. And chances are you're probably going to survive. There'll be sheer amount of power going into you. Lethal hits is not your friend. But they're -1 to hit and things like that. So solid. Absolutely solid. The way I run him is with Plague Drones or a Big Fatty. And you go to a flank, -1 to hit. Try and keep them behind the Great Unclean One so they can't draw line of sight as best you can, because they can't shoot through models if they can't see it. They can't draw line of sight. And then you're still offering a -1 to hit on your big Great Unclean One. That's going to have a 6 up feel no pain anyway. And what have you. Or on your Plague Drones, you want to keep them alive. Or your Plaguebearers or Soul Grinder, whatever. Whatever you want to keep alive, he can help that with. And that's why he's better. And again, if he has the Endless Gift, a 2 up, your saves are either going to be a 2, 3 or 4. And then you've got a potentially 5 up or a 4 up feel no pain for the Endless Gift. Really, really tough to kill and get rid of. Very, very annoying unit. And solid. And he can still hit a bit if he needs to. He can still pack a punch. But again, he's there for the resiliency. Toughness 11. Not much stuff's getting through that. Only big, big stuff. So are they going to focus on this guy? Or are they going to focus on your Great Unclean Ones, your Rotiguses, your Bellicor, your Sylaxes that are coming forward? They're going to focus on them. They're not going to focus on him. So this guy's going to help your smaller stuff survive against the elite infantries that are coming your way, or the regular infantry, or mini mounted stuff coming your way. He's there to help them survive. Solid choice, solid unit. That's why he's number 5. At number 4, it is the Great Unclean One. Big, fatty, beautiful, lovely model as well. Sidetrack a little bit here. Love painting it, and I hate painting. If you know me well enough on the channel, hate painting, but I really enjoyed painting this model. So let's get into the stat line. Movement 7, toughness 12, 5 up save or a 4 up invuln, 20 wounds. That's mad, isn't it? Leadership 6 and 5 OC. Great stat line. That's what we like. And then his ranged weapons. He's always equipped with the Putrid Vomit, which is a 12-inch flamer effectively. It ignores cover and has Torrent. D6 plus 3 attacks. Strength 5, -2 AP, 1 damage. That's nice AP as well. The damage 1, fine. But it helps get through against stuff that obviously ignores cover. So low level infantry stuff. 5 up saves. Maybe even a 6 up save. You know. Even weaker stuff like gaunts and that, they don't get a save. So you're getting rid of a few of them, you know. He can be equipped with the Plague Frail, which is at 6 inches, D6 plus 1 attacks, hitting on freeze, strength 7, -2 AP, 2 damage. Again, nothing to sniff at. That's a nice little weapon. It's only 6 inches. Not many things are going to want to get into contact with this thing. You're going to be going to them. Yeah, solid little option if you need it. Then he has his melee weapons. So he has the Bile Sword. Sorry, I'm going the wrong way round. So you can equip him with the Bile Blade instead of the Plague Flail, which is extra attacks. So it's 3 attacks, hitting on 2s with lethal hits. Strength 6, minus 2 AP, 2 damage. Again, nice. It's only 3 attacks, but still, that's a nice option. Then you've got the Bile Sword. You can have the Strike or Sweep ability. So with the Strike ability, it's 6 attacks, hitting on 2s, Strength 8, minus 2 AP, D6 damage. Again, very, very nice. Lethal hits on that, if I didn't mention that. And then he has the Sweep, which also has lethal hits. 12 attacks, hitting on 2s, Strength 6, minus 1 AP, 1 damage. Again, to try and whittle down the gaunts and low-level infantry stuff as well. You can equip him with the Doomsday Bell if you wish. So it's 6 attacks, hitting on 2s, Strength 7, minus 1 AP, 2 damage, and that also has lethal hits. It's kind of okay. It is kind of okay. But it does have this reverberating summons attached into the Doomsday Bell. So each time a model is destroyed by this weapon, you can select one friendly Plaguebearers unit within 12 inches of the bearer and return one destroyed Plaguebearer model to that unit. So that's kind of cool. You can then bring back Plaguebearers. I do kind of like that. It's very, very fluffy. Again, very situational, but very, very fluffy. And I do like a bit of fluff. Then we're going to move on to his abilities, if I can get them up. So, Demon Lord of Nurgle, which is an aura. While a friendly Nurgle unit is within 6 inches of this model, models in that unit have a feel no pain of severe 6 up. So you can give up 6 up, feel no pains. And he benefits that from himself. Obviously, you can, and most people are, giving him the Endless Gift. So he has a 5 up, feel no pain. And if he's in the Shadow of Chaos, it's a 4 up, feel no pain. So he's a very tough boy. Very tough and resilient. You can have 3 Great Unclean Ones, but only one of them can have that ability. Have that enhancement, sorry. Yeah, and that's what people are doing. People are taking one Great Unclean One and having the Endless Gift, and maybe another one just to be annoying. His second ability is Nurgle's Rot, which is a psychic ability. At the end of your movement phase, you can select one enemy unit within 12 inches of this model. Until the start of your next movement phase, subtract 1 from the toughness characteristics of models in that unit. And now these now stack. So you could get 3 Great Unclean Ones on a toughness 11 unit, like something like a Catan, funnily enough. I think they're about toughness 11. You can go on them, for example, and drop him to toughness 8. Cool. And, I mean, obviously you're going to have to try and kill him in one go. But that's what you're doing. You're dropping toughness down massively. Even toughness 8 is going down to toughness 5. Again, very situational. Are you going to have 3 Great Unclean Ones within 12 inches of the same unit? Probably not. But the minus toughness is still pretty cool. And I like that. I do like that. I think that is pretty cool. That's it. He costs 230 points with the enhancement 260. Very, very cheap and very, very solid. And deservedly to be in this top 5. 100% deserves to be up here. At number 3, it's the Beasts of Nurgle. Oh, I love these guys, and I will die on the hill to say they're one of the best scoring units in our index. I will die on that hill. I'll fight anybody on that hill. I think they are absolutely solid. Let's get into it. So, movement 6, toughness 9. Toughness 9, guys. 6 up save or a 5 up invuln. 7 wounds. Leadership 7 and 2 OC. So, it even has a bit of OC. So it's a very, very solid stat line. Melee weapons has 6 attacks, hitting on 4s, strength 6, minus 1 AP, 2 damage with devastating wounds. Again, very swingy. Fine, it can not hold its own, but it can just be annoying and tie something up if it needs to. 70 points, but you can take them in units of 2s for 140 points. So I'm trying to chip your way through 2 of these. Mental. And then the abilities is why we take him. Grotesque Regeneration. At the end of each phase, if a Beast of Nurgle model in this unit has lost any wounds but is not destroyed, that model regains all of its lost wounds. So something to point out, this unit on his own can never die from tank shock, because the max mortal wounds tank shock can do is 6. and that's like in the charge phase. Once that finishes, he regains all of his wounds again. They're very, very annoying. The way I play them, deploy Teleport Homer behind enemy lines. Let's deep strike them in. You deal with them. They'll deploy Teleport Homer. If they die after one turn, done his job, and he's got me 7 points on his own. So, you know, so 4 points for deploy Teleport Homer fee for behind enemy lines. And I will take 2 or 3 of these if I can. If I go Monster Mash and I have points left over, this is the first unit I put in due to the scoring potential. 100%. Absolutely 100%. This is one of the first units I put in. Love this unit so much. Underrated, and I see a lot of slate for these guys. I don't understand. I just don't get the hate. Their job is to just get in, do what they got to do, and get out. And they're resilient enough to survive to then do it maybe a second turn. Also, they have OC, so they can drop on an objective if they need to as well. Brilliant unit. 100% one of my favourites in the index. 100%. In the number 2 spot, it is the Nurglings. I nearly put them in at number 1. I really did. It's a fantastic unit. 40 points for 3 of these guys. Movement 5. Toughness 3. Whatever. 7 up save. Whatever. 6 up invern. Whatever. 4 wounds apiece. 8 up leadership. No OC. Only downside is the no OC. Fine. Melee weapons, we'll just touch on it. They have 4 attacks each with lethal hits. Hitting on 5s. Strength 2. No AP, 1 damage. I think I killed a Psycho Sage once with some Nurglings. It was really funny. They're not hitting nothing. They're not doing anything. So they have the Infiltrator as the core ability, which is why you take them, put them anywhere on the board. Obviously 9 inches away from enemy units and deployment zone. And their other ability is Mischief Makers, which is an aura. While an enemy unit, excluding monsters and vehicles, is within 6 inches of this unit, each time a model in that unit makes an attack, subtract 1 from the hit roll. So you give him -1 to hit on stuff. Absolutely solid. Now you can max these up for 6 of them in a unit. For 80 points. Maths was poor there. And be very, very annoying. Screen off stuff. Get in areas you need to. If you take them in min-size unit, which is what most people do, the footprint is small. So you can do exactly what I just said for secondaries for Beast of Nurgle. Drop them within 3 with the stratagem. Deploy Teleport Homer. Thank you very much. 7 points. You know, that's what the one thing you're going to be doing. You can start them near the centre. So first turn, deploy Teleport Homer for 3 points. If you can't get into the enemy deployment zone first turn. Great option, solid option. Again, they're always picked. I think Death Guard players are picking them as well. Because they're cheap. They're cheap and they do a job. Their scoring potential is insane. Absolutely insane. Deserved in the top 5. I nearly put them in at number 1. I really nearly did. I think the only thing that lets them down is no OC. If they had 1 OC, they'd just be nuts. They'd be nuts. I think they'd be overpowered if they had OC. Fantastic unit and deserved this number 2 spot, 100%. And at number 1, it's the other fatty. It's Rotigus. Beautiful model, solid option. Let's get into his data card. Movement 7, toughness 12, 5 up save or 4 up invuln, 22 wounds, 6 up leadership, and 5 OC. Solid stat line there. Absolutely solid. He has a ranged weapon, Streams of Brackish Filth. I can't even say it. Filth. 12-inch range, 2d6 shots, and it's Torrent, and it gnaws cover, and has devastating wounds. So it's 2d6 shots, strength 7, -2 AP, 1 damage. So it's nice AP again, 1 damage. Overwatch with this bad boy if you can. One of the best torrent weapons in the game, I think, especially for us. Absolutely brilliant. Really, really good. Again, just added boon having it. And then he has the Gnarl Rod as his melee weapon, and he has the Strike or Sweep. So with the Strike, it's 7 attacks, hitting on 2s, again lethal hits. Strength 8, minus 3 AP, 3 damage. That's nothing to sniff your nose at. That is solid AP and solid damage right there. And then he has his sweep, which is 14 attacks. Hitting on 2s, again, lethal hits. Strength 7, minus 1 AP, 1 damage. That's kind of okay. You do have the stratagem to increase AP if you need to. But let's have a look at his abilities. This is why he's Big Daddy. This is why he's up there, in my opinion. So, Feculent Blessing is his first ability. At the start of the fight phase, you can select one enemy unit within 18 inch and visible to this model. Until the end of the phase, each time an attack made by Nurgle model is allocated to a model in that unit, add 1 to the damage characteristic of that attack. So now he's given himself minus 3 AP 4 damage. Or on his sweep, he's now 2 damage. Or he's increasing the damage to 2 on the Plaguebearers. On the Soul Grinder, getting an extra damage. Insane ability. Insane. You've only just got to see it and go, that model there, please. That model there. And Nurgle stuff obviously doesn't hit that hard. But this helps. This does help. Brilliant. I mean, the Daemon Princes will relish from that as well. Such a good ability. That's why I take him, because I just love that. I think it's amazing. His other ability, Deluge of Nurgle, which is an aura. While an enemy unit is within 6 inches of this model, have the move and OC characteristics of models in that unit. Well, that's brilliant straight away. If you have an OC, you're going to park this guy on an objective, preferably in the middle. Not necessarily always, but preferably in the middle or a flank, depending on how you play. You park him on an objective and you get him to try and kill elite-ish stuff as best you can. And he's reducing their movement and OC, so if they want to fall back, they're not moving that far. Their OC is pants, so they're not going to be holding anything, because you're going to end up be killing them. And if they are going to fall back, I would probably recommend you use your Flamer anyway to reduce more OC. Solid, absolutely solid. Deserved to be at number 1. 230 points. And I think for the utility and the resiliency you're getting with this guy is 100% worth it. When you're considering a Bloodthirster is 320. You know, I know Bloodthirster hits harder, but this guy can make stuff hit harder. He can make himself hit harder, and he's more resilient, and he's a hell of a lot cheaper. Absolutely solid unit, and deserves his place at number 1. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye for now.